So Bernie Sanders and the Senate confirmed Anthony Blinken as its Secretary of State. Okay, so that's done. That's a done deal. I just want to remind everybody, you know, who he was. He was a longtime aide to Joe Biden. He is extremely he's a warmonger, but he's like a cryptic warmonger. He also served as both Deputy National Security Advisor and Deputy Secretary of State for Obama during the Obama administration. And this is what he said, and I want you to understand what he says, and then how we translate that from cryptic warmonger to actually what he's saying. So he said, "Together we will implement POTUS Biden's vision of a foreign policy that promotes America's security, prosperity, and values, and that delivers for the American people." Promotes America's security basically means we're going to expand our occupation. We are going to continue sanctioning and attempting coups all over the world, because that's how we maintain America's security. That's how we've been doing this for decades, and delivers for the American people. That delivers for the oligarchy, the military industrial complex,
the resource
not for you guys, because when have they delivered for the American people, right? So there's that, and then I wanted to read
Roblito?
Yes.
Love Roblito.
Robbie's a little bit of what Robbie said. He said, Anthony Blinken has been confirmed. The margin is 78-22. Every Democrat voted in favor, plus Bernie Sanders and Angus King. 22 Republicans objected. And I just wanted everybody to see the vote, the picture of how they voted. More Democrats obviously voted than Republicans. This is scary because either way, it's not like Pompeo was a walk in the park. He was a piece of shit. But like, and you know, and Bolton and all of the surrounding war hawks that were with the Trump administration. But this guy, the problem with him is he's very cryptic about everything. So he's going to pretend that all of this is done.
Well, I'm wondering, fam, do you think a lot of the Republicans voted for him because he wasn't warmonger enough for them, or did some just not like his? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wonder that too.
I wonder too, just because there are a few like of those anti-interventionists that want to get out of Afghanistan. You know, like Rand Paul and those guys, where we're going to come to it and talk about his words when we show his video, and we'll show you that they are manufacturing consent to say, get back on that plane, soldiers, the 3,000 of it. Get your ass back on there and get back over there. That's what it feels like right out of the gate, fam. So go ahead.
And exactly. And then Jeffrey St. Clair said this, his counterpunch. Only one vote against Blinken, whose fingerprints have been on nearly every U.S. war from Iraq to Yemen in the Senate, but not by Bernie or Warren or Merkley or Hirano, but Rand Paul. If you're unwilling to object to the people who instigated wars you claim to have opposed, how can any of us expect you to stand up against wars they will start now that they are enshrined with even more power? Bernie has returned to his default position in the Clinton and Obama years when he endorsed the overthrow of Saddam and the bombing of Serbia. So those are the foreign policy blunders that many of us burners completely. He said, okay, well, maybe he made these mistakes and he's not going to go back to that. Well, now he's voting for them. And if you were a fan of the mittens, you need to hold Bernie Sanders accountable. And it doesn't matter. Like the mittens on one way, his mittens are pushing regime change, are pushing war, are literally just going to kill millions of people. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that.
I almost cried. When Biden was getting, like, really, these people, I almost cried. That Trump is so awful that the warmonger back in there is going to make me cry. Give me a break.
So Joe Obama W. Trump is a great account. They actually share these articles on Substack, too, that are great. And they said, since the Bernie mitten memes took off, Bernie Sanders has voted for CIA torture apologist Avril Haines as Intel director, voted for Raytheon executive Lloyd Austin to become defense secretary, and voted for Libya invasion cheerleader and drone warrior Anthony Blinken as secretary of state.
And just to clarify, fam, Lloyd Austin is still a Raytheon executive, right?
Well, he's still up on the.
He's not on the.
on the website.
He's not.
They took him down today.
They took him down from the website.
He was up there yesterday.
He was up
until yesterday. I think
until he got confirmed.
Until he got confirmed
as defense secretary.
So if he didn't get confirmed, I guess they were going to leave.
He would still be there.
He'd still be there. But
what the fuck?
What I mean, listen. Talk about what's the word I'm looking for when you have an obligation that can affect another one. I forgot. I'm lost for words, but the fact is that you're working for Raytheon at one point, right? You're working for a defense contract. Now you're the Secretary of Defense. You probably push for more bombing and more shit to go on so your friends can make money.
Right.
And you had to hand off your stocks to your family or whatever. Conflict of interest is what I was trying to say. There's a huge conflict of interest here as Secretary of Defense.
Absolutely.
When you're selling bombs just a couple days beforehand. You're not just going to give... That was the whole thing with Dick Cheney. We saw this before. Oh, Halliburton, Dick Cheney. Well, I've given all my stocks up to my children and my family and all this, and I'm not doing anything. Yeah, but now they're going to prosper. It's your family prospering.
Right.
So give me a break.
And I just want to note real quick, I have yet to see, Humanist Report, TYT... Sam Cedar, any of these people touch on this, because you cannot touch on anything that goes against St. Bernard, right? Like, no, that's not how you do fucking news. That's not how you do actual, consistent political analysis or journalism. You don't just pick and choose what you're going to criticize because it's somebody you like. I like Bernie. That doesn't mean I'm not going to hold him accountable for the shit he's doing. This is absolutely vicious. And if you ever were interested in Bernie beyond the just putting him on a pedestal and the way they're just glorifying him like this relic, kind of like they did to Obama. If you were ever interested in Bernie beyond the grandpa, beyond the whole, he's cute, he's angry and all this other crap, you have to talk about policy and the policies he's pushing now. He is veering away from what he said he was running on in 2016. Completely. He started doing that in 2020, but now it's bam, the foreign policy blunders that he's making now, that I should be excited for him to be, in this position of power. And I'm not. He's a chairman of the Senate. I should be happy. And what he's showing me is on one end, he's saying, okay, well, I'm going to try to get Medicare for all for everybody during the pandemic. But then he's saying, I'm going to go as far as Biden allows me to. And then he's doing this. So
yeah. He already said whatever Biden wants to do in one situation, whatnot. And I just want to kind of, the beginning of your statement, too, as well, when you were talking about all these independent media who's not saying any of this, this is the lack of not talking about foreign policy, of lacking foreign policy knowledge. And once again, we're not experts in everything, but we keep our ears to the ground when it comes to foreign policy. We're always looking, talking to people. I mean, that's why we have had Sloboda on the show 5 times right now and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You have to have people on who are going to be able to tell you about those regions and what's going on. It's very important. Our foreign policy is our domestic policy. And the fact is, when you see some of these neo-progressives go, wow, fam, General Lloyd Austin, the first black Secretary of State, that's a breath of fresh air from the Trump administration, isn't it? A breath of fresh air. The guy was on the board of Raytheon, ladies and gentlemen, selling bombs, and now he's going to be the guy making the calls. You think he might have a little incentive to go, maybe we should go bomb that region over there. Well, we don't think it's really necessary. Yeah. And he was always backdoor cryptic, right? He didn't want to go full-fledged into Syria. He didn't want to, he was in Iraq and he was saying that it's bad, it's time to kind of pull out kind of mentality.
Are you talking about Blinken? Or?
No, I'm talking about Austin, Lloyd
okay.
Austin, because he was one of the generals in Iraq and stuff. But he was okay with drone warfare, you know what I'm saying? He was okay with special ops. So he had that more kind of cryptic foreign policy that Obama had, where it's oh, we're not going to send troops, we're going to pull troops out, but we'll send drones over there.
Right.
When drones will sit there and they will kill civilians at a way higher rate than the actual troops there. You know what I'm saying? So he does have that kind of mentality.
And it's about holding all politicians accountable, fam.
All of them.
In your first original statement, hold all politicians accountable. That's it. Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, anybody.
Yeah.
When Tulsi Gabbard endorsed Biden, we were upset. We
Absolutely.
said people got mad at us for that. It's I'm sorry. I'm not here to we're here to be completely honest about these things, and when they do something wrong, you have to call them out. That's why people are mad at us on all sides.
We should make a shirt. Hold all politicians accountable.
And let me tell you something. If Bernie kind of transitioned back away from Biden a long time ago by now, right? Okay, so he had to endorse and go on there, but then he started running shotgun, and they started spewing the same narrative as the establishment. And that's what he's doing right now. Tulsi did what she had to do, and then she went back to what? Civil liberties, all that stuff again. Let's fight for these things. I want Bernie to get back there, but it seems like he's just riding it out into the sunset, going to retire to the House because the language is not there anymore. For him, I would have liked to see him.
Well, it's the votes, too.
The votes, too. I would like to see him been one of the votes to not vote for, Lloyd Austin or Blinken. What are you doing, Bernie?
And wait till he votes for confirms Near Tandon. Okay, so Madeleine Albright, this conveyor of love and unity for everybody. She said, I'm thrilled to congratulate Anthony Blinken on becoming U.S. Secretary of State, the world's best job. Secretary Blinken's wisdom, integrity, and compassion will be tremendous assets for America. We can count on him and his team to revitalize diplomacy and reinvigorate U.S. leadership.
This is the language bullshit.
Yeah, this is the language bullshit, meaning, yes, get ready for a lot of fucking interventionism. If Madeleine Albright congratulates you, that is enough for me to say that there's a fucking problem. I'm so sorry.
That's all
and then
those, yeah.
Anthony Blinken and Lindsey Graham, of course, reunited, and sparks flew between them. I mean, it was just beautiful.
We're gonna play this video right here, right now. But I really wish I would have put up Johnny's tweet, because Johnny, can you put up your tweet instead of Glory? I mean, I know we retweeted Glory, but I like what you said the best. I mean, what Johnny said was the best.
What did he say?
Watch. I'm gonna put it up there, let the audience see, because it's great.
Follow Johnny if you're not following Johnny.
Yes. Got almost 200 people watching over there. Got somebody. No offense. What are the strongest days of the week? Saturday and Sunday. The rest are weekdays. Thank you. No offense. Now look what Johnny put up about right here. Everybody watch newly appointed Democrat Secretary of State Anthony Blinken play warmonger patty cake with Lindsey Graham. I know, right? When I saw it, I was like, wow, man, I already retweeted Glory Jones, and we love her for putting that up. But watch them play warmonger patty cake from the beginning, Johnny, because they get right out of the gate and they get nasty with this shit.
We're going to quickly go around the world and try to get a 30,000-foot view of where we start this new administration. Do you still consider Iran the largest state sponsor of terrorism?
I do.
Okay. Do you consider Israel a racist nation?
No, I do not.
Okay, that's a good start. Afghanistan. Do you agree that I agree totally with Senator Shaheen that if we abandon the Afghan women who fought so hard to have a say about the future of their children, it will affect our children's future. Do you agree with that?
I do.
And do you trust the Taliban to police Al-Qaeda and ISIS regarding attacking America?
Trust is not a word that I would apply.
No, that's right. I agree with you. Serve it. What would you tell the people in a caravan coming toward America?
I would say do not come.
Yeah, I think that's a good message.
Talk about
Some people on the left have been saying that we should decriminalize entry into the country. Do you agree with that?
Not my jurisdiction, but I disagree.
Okay, all right. China is a problem, multiple layer problem. Russia's up to no good. There's two groups out there that I worry the most about. I think if the Iranians had a nuclear weapon, they would use it. I think the Ayatollah is a religious Nazi. Will you agree to at least talk to me and Senator Mendez about an alternative to the JCPOA when it comes to Iran?
I welcome talking to both of you and members of this committee about the way forward on Iran.
Okay. And finally, this is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. September this year will be 20 years. I think they're going to remind us that they're still out there. Do you agree with me that the worst thing America could do is have a false sense of security when it comes to radical Islam? Do you agree with the following proposition? The only reason they haven't killed more of us is they can't find a way to do it, and we pretty much kept our foot on their throat.
I share your concerns about the ongoing threat posed by what's left of Al-Qaeda, ISIS, other extremist groups that target the United States.
We're on a good start here. So this really, I just very much appreciate that.
I'm just blown away that you're just such a great warmonger like me. You know what I'm saying?
It's like,
oh my God.
This is a great date so far.
Wow.
It's going really well. I wasn't expecting us to have this connection so right away, but like, I mean, you just finished my own sentences for me. It's just like amazing.
No, listen, they know who he is. This is why when people start talking about the whole election thing and they go, well, the Democrats and the Republicans, guys, can you not see? It's one aisle. It's one group. This guy is Joe Biden's new guy coming in, and Lindsey Graham and him are just talking about warmonger patty cake. They were warmongering making out.
Yeah.
And all they're doing is manufacturing consent to be hostile towards Iran, manufacturing consent to keep troops in Afghanistan. I think he's talked about the Taliban. You're going to trust them? So now you can see him giving the yes, yes, yes. And this is a guy who is for every single little bit of war. But he did go on Sesame Street with Grover, so I guess he's a nice guy.
So this one, I think you posted this, no? Lindsey Graham, very interesting storyline developing regarding potential denial requests on National Guard troops made by Capitol Police to the House Sergeant Arms. I don't remember what I think this is about the rioters. Let me make sure.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the one I put up.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was confused.
So everybody talks about remember we talked before when I've said that. Listen, Mitch McConnell is a lot closer with Joe Biden than he is with Donald Trump. This is not about Republican, about Democrat.
It's not.
This is about the establishment. Now, Lindsey Graham, right? Oh, who's supposed to be a Republican? Who said I've hung out with Joe Biden. I desperately want him to lose. But now it's time we take the votes and just make him, the president. Like when he was saying that shit. Look at his comments about Joe Biden back in the days here.
If you can't admire Joe Biden as a person, then it's probably you got a problem. You need to do some self-evaluation. Because what's not to like? Here's what I can tell you. That life can change just like that. Don't take it for granted. Don't take relationships for granted. I called him after Bo died. And he basically said, well, Bo was my soul. We've talked for a long time. He came to my ceremony and said some of the most incredibly heartfelt things that anybody could ever say to me. And he's the nicest person I think I've ever met in politics.
Is that right?
He is as good a man as God ever created. And we don't agree on much. But I think he's been dealt a really gut blow. I think he focuses on what he's got to do, not what he lost. His heart's been ripped out, but he's going to make sure that the other members of his family is well taken care of. And he started talking about his grandkids.
Yeah, he is.
More worried about.
He's going to make sure they're taken care of. Oh, he's the nicest guy among the elites, fam. Among the elites, he's such a great guy. He'll write the 1994 crime bill and put people of color in jail left and right, pull away programs for them so they can't do anything when they get out, take away grant money. But, among us elites, he's the nicest guy. Excuse me. Now, let's see how Donald Trump, Republican president, how he feels about Lindsey Graham.
Are you sick of Lindsey Graham speaking out of both sides of his mouth?
I don't know why anyone in the great state of South Carolina would ever vote.
Really?
Oh.
One of the worst representatives of any representative in the United States.
It's just outrageous. This is the guy who keeps saying, stay tuned. Senator Graham needs to be tuned out in South Carolina.
He's one of the dumbest human beings I've ever seen. He may be, I gotta tell you, he's a terrible representative for the state.
I'm being killed financially. This money is because they hate my guts.
Anyways, you can see Donald Trump just goes after him. He never forgot that stuff. They never, Marco Rubio, they never forgot that shit, and they were going to get him. That's why we saw what happened in the general election. They knew. That's why I'm saying when people go, oh, it's Republicans versus Democrats, like, no. It's the establishment. Look how much Lindsey loves the new Secretary of State.
Right.
He loves him.
He said, saying praises to Joe Biden. It's one big aisle. And you know who else like Lindsey? Nomiki Konst. She had several pictures with him.
Nah, we know that as well. Nomiki loves Lindsey.
Progressive fighter,
By
though.
the way, let me just get these down real quick.
Okay, so I wanted to kind of point out what he has said regarding Yemen, because according to Joe Biden, the president-elect has made clear that they will end their support for the military campaign led by Saudi Arabia in Yemen. And he says they're going to work that out. But I have my doubts for obvious reasons. So let's hear what he
to Warmonger Senator Democrats Chris Murphy. Warmonger, Democrat. One big aisle in foreign policy.
The president-elect has made clear. Senator, president-elect has made clear that we will end our support for the military campaign led by Saudi Arabia in Yemen, and I think we will work on that in very short order once the president-elect is president. For the reasons that you've cited, we have seen Yemen become the worst humanitarian situation in the world. And of course, as we were discussing earlier, the Houthis bear significant responsibility for what's happened in Yemen, but the way the campaign has been conducted has also contributed significantly to that situation. And so our support should end. We of course, as you cited, have a partnership with Saudi Arabia. We, I believe, should do what we need to do to help defend Saudi Arabia against aggression directed at Saudi Arabia, including from Yemen and from the Houthis. But again, as you've said, we have real concerns about some of the policies that our Saudi partners have pursued. And accordingly, the President-elect has said that we will review the entirety of the relationship to make sure that as it stands, it is advancing the interests and is respectful of the values that we bring to that partnership.
Right. So he basically said a whole lot of nothing. He's saying that they're going to look at the situation regarding the Saudis, review it. And then also he blamed the Houthis once again regarding Yemen, which is obviously it's obfuscating their own involvements.
It's code.
And
they're not the rightful leaders of Yemen. It's not the Houthis there. But yeah, they are.
So I just real quick wanted to remind everybody who Blinken was. He was pro the invasion of Iraq. He was instrumental in pushing regime change and war in Libya. He pushed the arming of Al-Qaeda in Syria and pushed sanctions and coup attempts. He was condemned by Palestine for recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital and for not denouncing crimes against Palestinians and okaying the Israeli war crimes. He's still doing that. Under Obama/Biden, he aided with the Saudi Arabia genocide in Yemen and is saying he will fix it now, which is doubtful. Pro-arming of the neo-Nazis in Ukraine via CIA-backed coup.
Yep.
He was against Trump's removal of troops in Afghanistan, actually entirely against that. And he will likely go into Venezuela because they have talked about Venezuela and for for regime change, and will push more sanctions. So
and he did mention, and when Lindsey Graham was questioning about, what's going on about the women in Afghanistan, are you going to trust the Taliban? And when he's saying, no, I wouldn't use trust and all that stuff, that is code for the fact that we're going to put troops back there. And it's also been talked about that Lloyd Austin is now reviewing the decision by Donald Trump, reviewing them to bring home 3,000 troops. Let's just hold our breaths and hope they come home after 9 months. That was the new deployment. It's like a year deployment for these kids, sometimes 2 years. It's terrible. So we'll see what's going to happen.
And just bottom line, I said, progressive Grandpa Sanders just voted to confirm crypto-fascist warmonger and outright favorite Anthony Blinken as Secretary of State. He's going to confirm more disastrous picks. If you ever supported Sanders truly for his policies, hold him to account for veering from them. So if you ever actually supported Bernie Sanders because of policies and not just because you were, cheering him on because you liked him, then you have to hold him accountable, and that's the bottom line with that.
Yeah, I mean, and just talk about the picks between Donald Trump and Donald Trump had a lot of questionable picks, all right? He wanted Flynn there, who Flynn was totally against what happened in Syria. They got rid of Flynn, and then he all started with these warmongers with Lord Bolton and Abramson and Venezuela and stuff. But, I mean, these guys are very sly and they're very cryptic, fam, and they find a way to wage war, to go into these wars. Blinken, who talks nice and all this situation going on, he was the one who was yelling at Biden for not being enthused enough of going into Syria. And you can see he was all about Afghanistan, the coup in Ukraine. Whether we like it or not, the democratic policies of the Democratic Party when it comes to foreign policy was worse than Donald Trump. Not to say that Donald Trump was good because he amped up the bombing like crazy, whatnot, but he can sit there and go, I didn't start any new wars, and it's actually, that's better than the other guys. That is a problem with our foreign policy, and it was a problem that Bernie Sanders and a lot of these other progressives went along with it.